What up, what up? It's Jack, aka Just a Cunt here, and UFC Fight Night Whitaker versus Day Ritter just wrapped up on ABC, and overall it was a pretty incredible card. Some good finishes, some good fights, pretty good judging all around, and a lot of big upsets. I personally did absolutely horrible on this card, considering that, first off, Gustavo won, which I wasn't too surprised of. On the prelims, Bryce Mitchell won, Salikov won, Tabitha Ritchie actually got a finish, Billy Alcana, a lot of these guys I didn't expect to win and had very heavily unfavored odds decided to randomly put on the performance of the lifetime. So nonetheless, starting off with the main event, Robert Whitaker, Rainer de Ritter. This fight was razor close. Going into the fifth round, I felt it was 2-2 or 3-1 Whitaker, with Whitaker getting the first round, the third round, and the fourth round, where De Ritter got the second round, obviously, and the third round was incredibly close and could go either way. With the fifth round, Whitaker did, for most of it, what he needed to do in terms of staying in the open space, landing counters. Rainer was starting to be very sloppy at this point, not really able to land as effectively and get out the way of shots. His main defense was quite tall man's defense, which kind of back up, but the more fatigued he got, the harder that was for him. But the fifth round, he was able to back up, rub, get against the fence, and just kind of lay on top of him, landing good shots to the body, mixing it up, going for takedown defense. Kind of Marab maxing in terms of old school Marab, like Aldo, where he would just put you against the fence and hold you there. Both these fighters looked really good in this fight. At first, Whitaker was shucking off Rainer, doing a good job of circling back to the center, countering off him, landing good shots, and then Rainer was struggling to really get in close. But the second round, Rainer really turned it up, landing great jabs on Whitaker. That step-in knee is such a great weapon for him. It was starting to gas out Whitaker. I've never seen Whitaker look so fatigued going into the later rounds, where Rainer was able to land that jab, mix it up well, get takedowns, control Whitaker, and just overall have an incredible second round. I'd say probably the most dominant round out of all of them, and really showed how good Rainer can be when he's able to mix up everything. But going into that third round, one of the probably maybe the round of the year, Rainer really starting to land good shots on Robert, starting to bully him, starting to overwhelm him, starting to break him down. But as Rainer hurts him to the body and starts pressing the fence, Whitaker lands an insane overhand right, dropping Rainer and basically finishing him. I have no idea how RDR even survived that. He was basically out cold, one of the cleanest punches I've ever seen Whitaker land. Got hit with some great shots, but Rainer has an insane chin, great recovery ability, able to come back up, take down Whitaker, land some good shots, make it a very close competitive round. I felt like Whitaker still took it in the end, but it doesn't really matter too much, as this fourth round is really where both guys really started to hit a wall. You got to see both these guys hurt. You got to see both these guys tired, and now it kind of became a moment of who wants it more. The thing with Whitaker's style compared to Rainer's, though, Whitaker relies on speed so much footwork, so snappy, that he needs to have the type of energy to move around. The more he fatigues, the more it hurts his game. Compared to Rainer, right? He's going to always pressure you, and at some point he can just come forward with his hands up and be relatively safe. Since Whitaker doesn't have the pocket boxing, Whitaker does really good with straight shots, and he can do good with hooks, but they're not tight. They're very wide, they're very looping. He can't land good in the pocket like someone like Peter Yan or Ilya Topuria. He's not very diverse in the striking. He's very good at the handful of tools he does, and that kind of hurt him, as Rainer has so many different tools, can do the jab, can do the takedowns, can use the clinch. He had so many options here, and it felt like it was a more better age, more economic style, as when they were tired at the end, Rainer would put him against the fence, laying on top of him, landing thing, edging him out. You can give the fight to Whitaker for sure, as in that fifth round he was landing really good, and you could arguably give him 1, 3, and 4, but it's very close, very competitive. It can go either way. I'm not mad at either side. Moving on though to Peter Yan. This motherfucker's starting to piss me off. Peter Yan cannot just clearly win a fight in 3 rounds. He just can't. First round coming out, McGee's doing really good, did what I expected him, slightly out volume him, Petr Yan coming forward. He does this thing where he's similar to Chris Curtis, where he'll just take shots on the guard, and that can look bad depending on the judges. Even if McGee is not landing really good on Peter, just hitting him on the guard, or Petr Yan's kind of planting and throwing, it makes it difficult to look good until he's able to land counters, until he's able to really get good read. And that second round was super close. You can give it to McGee, honestly. Now, I gave it to Petr Yan particularly because he landed the harder shots, but it was a close round. Third round, Petr Yan really started to land that volume. In a 5-rounder, I do think Petr Yan would have been able to really avalanche and keep going, but it's hard. 3-rounder is always hard with someone like McGee, who's so much volume. He's trying to outpoint you. He's not trying to land hard shots, not trying to take him down. And Petr Yan looked very sharp, had some good moments, but in a fight with Merab, man, it's going to be difficult because Petr Yan just doesn't have that real pop to his punches. He's very tough, he's durable, and I think he will still be able to defend a lot of shots, but if O'Malley can't really hurt Merab, I think it's going to be difficult for Petr Yan, but he can still do things differently. He has a lot of momentum right now. He was on a momentum slide when he fought Merab. He's learned from a lot of mistakes. He seems healthier. And there is a chance where Petr Yan is just going to be able to land better in the pocket, do better with exchanges, land on the back foot more, and land good shots to hurt Merab. But I think that's an interesting fight, and he should fight the winner of Corey Sandhagen versus Merab if it's Merab. If Merab loses, you probably have to give him an immediate rematch, and then we kind of do a bunch of back and forth. But hopefully Merab wins. We get to see him against Petr Yan, assuming that Pantoja doesn't want to move him in a fight, which it doesn't seem like he wants to do. Moving down the card, Shera Magomedov. Classic Shera performance. Outpoints his opponent, but kinda doesn't look the best doing it. The commentators always love to glaze him. He's very good, don't get me wrong, with his kickboxing. He's a really good kicker, really fast low kicks. But these guys, what they do is when they look at Shara, it seems like they want to just crowd him and land good in the pocket. But they need to implement much more of a Muay Thai stance, almost a Jose Aldo, Charles Oliveira. One of these guys that can keep the front leg light, land, keep the hands high to disengage from the Shara Magomedov because he doesn't have great boxing, and be able to pressure him, come forward, land good teeps, land good to the body, do good. People need to stop trying to crowd him as much and try to attack him in the mid-range, where the kicks aren't as effective, where he's not the greatest boxer, and you see kind of how shit his hooks are, where he's much more of an Islam fadeaway hook. I feel like in that pocket, that's where Rant was really able to, that's why I think he would be able to really get hurt by, where someone like a Rant Ritter would do really good. But still, it was a good performance. His nose got busted real bad, but, you know, with that style, you get hit here and there. I'd love to see Shara actually get matched up with another person around his level in terms of, like, prospect. I'd love to see him fight a Joe Pyfer. I'd love to see him fight Bo Nickel. Get one of these redheads, throw them against each other. They're both, Joe Pyfer's also coming off a win, but none of these guys are really highly valued, so I think taking off one of them would be interesting, but they'll probably just throw them against a bunch of cans until they fight a very big step up, get hurt, you know, lose, whatever. Shara versus Bo Nickel, something like that. But anyway, moving down, Asu Alimbayev, Jose Ochoa. This was an okay fight. From here, they had a couple boring decisions, but this was good. Asu Alimbayev doing great grappling, constantly attacking the back. Jose doing good reversals, but Asu Alimbayev really kind of able to edge it out a little bit. Nikita Krylov, Bogdan Gustav. I'm not too surprised this happened. Bogdan has looked quite good in his career. I just kind of, when someone's a fluky fighter that like wins ones, lose ones, gets some crazy wins, you know, goes to war, I kind of wanted to bet on that. You know, I figured that if the fluke, he got fluked by Reyes, he's going to fluke his next guy, but Bogdan just looked good. This wasn't a fluke. He landed good off Krylov off a kick, hurt him bad, knocked him out, finished him on the ground. Really good fight. Krylov's kind of at a hard point in his career. There's not too much I can really say from here. Now he's getting KO'd and rocked, so hopefully he can take some real time off, try to recover a little bit. Excited to see what goes on next for Bogdan. Looking at the prelims, we got Bryce Mitchell doing real good against Saeed now. Bryce Mitchell went in there, put the butter on him, and really took it to Saeed, came forward, and he got really hurt with a knee, but besides that, Bryce Mitchell looked really good. I didn't expect him to physically be as well equipped as he was. His cardio looked good. His chin looked good too. That was a clean ass knee that he ate, and he ate some good shots from side. Didn't really get too hurt, and looked good on the ground. Able to compete with the bantamweight skilled, which I'm not too surprised since I think featherweight is the most skilled division overall. I used to think it was bantamweight, but looking at where featherweights are doing now, moving up. And now even moving down, I think Bryce Mitchell looked good, and I think he'd do some interesting stuff in this division. He's just going to struggle with people like Piotr Yan, people like Jose Aldo, would have been Jose Aldo, Song Yudong. He's going to struggle with people that can really hit him hard in the pocket while also being able to defend some takedowns. But he has some interesting matchups I think he could do. I think he could be like a Rob Font. I think he could smother him. I think if he fights people who don't have a whole lot of power, some kickers types that he can smother and he could take down. I think he has some potential in this division getting up there. Muslim Salikov. I so badly wanted to pick him and put money on him. God. Carlos Leal did what everyone expected him to, was to run across and knock him out, but just left himself wide open. Got hit with a clean shot that he ran right into, knocked out cold, walk-off, knockoff KO. Muslim Salikov, sick as fuck. Sick, underrated fighter. I'm excited. He called out Wonderboy. That's such a great fight. Knowing the UFC, they'll probably give fucking Wonderboy fucking shitty-ass wrestler, and they give Muslim Salikov some fucking up-and-coming knockout artist or something gay. They won't do anything fucking cool at all, because God forbid we get anything fucking cool. But it should be Muslim Salikov, Wonderboy. That's the obvious fight. That's such a fun, interesting karate versus kung fu, fun, interesting fight. If not, you can do Salikov versus like a Kevin Holland could be cool. Well, he's like right outside the rankings, if that makes sense. There's like right outside the rankings where you got like the Brian Battles, you got the those type of fighters, and you got like a step below that. I think he's kind of in a weird thing where I can't really pit him against someone like that, really close to the rankings fighter. So I think Wonderboy or finding some fighters that want some interesting fights, I think could be interesting. But great performance by Muslim Salikov, credible KO. Davey Grant. Now this is the highlight of the night for me. Davey Grant, someone I believed in, someone that I had a very strong feeling was going to beat Damon Blackshear, and went out there and got fucked up the first round in terms of grappling. I got very nervous, but following that, he just beat him up on the feet. Damon doesn't have a lot of tools in his game. He's not the greatest takedown artist, and he doesn't have the biggest fight IQ. He really just kind of stood up there, backed up, and landed low kicks and just put his guard up. Just doesn't have a diversity on the feet that Grant has, where Grant does a really good job, where he ironically doesn't really knock a lot of people out, or at least higher level people, but his shots hit hard enough that when it lands, you hear the pop and the thud, and it scares a lot of people off. So, one sub money off Davey Grant. Great performance from Davey. Excited to see what comes next. Tabitha Ricci, Amanda Ribas. Now this fight was surprising. It started off kind of expected to. Ribas able to get a takedown. Ribas, landing good on the feet. Ricci not really doing too much, kind of being stagnant, but being competitive. But I forget just how absolutely undurable Amanda Ribas is. She is literally probably the least durable fighter of all time. And that's saying a lot. She's fighting the women's divisions, and she literally got not even knocked out with an elbow. She got hit with an elbow in the clinch by Ricci, and she just took a knee and got TKO'd. I'm assuming something broke. Her eyebrow broke. Her, orbital broke. It kind of looked like it was right around the eyebrow. But yeah, got TKO'd. Shout out Tabitha Ricci. Ribas is just not durable enough to really compete even in the lowest women's division. So, unfortunate. Ibo Aslan versus Billy Alakena. This was a very mid fight. They both kind of went back and forth. Ibo Aslan, big favorite. You could have won some good money on Alakena. This is a fight that I expected to be very close, and it kind of went back and forth, literally like a 5-strike difference. It was close, but Billy just landing better shots. Ibo was smiling, menacing at him, but just doesn't look that good. Very boring fight. And Steven Nguyen versus Muhammad Yahya. Steven just whooped his fucking ass, dropped him 6 times. I think that's the most in UFC history. And just beat him up. I don't know how. The ref just hated Muhammad for some reason. And just kind of let him get beat up and bullied, but just couldn't do enough. But he did rock Steven, which is surprising. The second round, I believe, he rocked Steven real bad and pressured him, came forward, but just every time he got touched, just fell down. Just didn't have any durability, didn't have any striking, didn't have any grappling. Industry plant, cut him, don't ever let him back into the sport. And Steven, considering what happened, I'm actually not that hyped on him either. I think he's not the greatest as well. Martin Buday, Marcus Almeida. Martin Buday, man, just more experienced. Jiu-jitsu guys just struggle to come into here because Jiu-jitsu guys seem to not like to work on their wrestling. They think that their grappling's just good and they could just get decent enough on the feet to try to Fabricio Verdum max. And this is why I'm telling you that these older fighters can't compete, because this is literally Fabricio Verdum's whole style. Be big, be strong, walk at people, pull guard, try to bring them down. Unfortunately, there's basic jiu-jitsu defense, so it's one of the most pathetic styles I've ever seen. Hate watching it. Stop doing it. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, either learn how to wrestle, or be like a Rainer de Ritter and be strong and durable enough and be a competent striker, but use certain tools that are beneficial to you, like kicks, like knees, certain things that people are going to grab onto that give you great contact. Work better on your wrestling. Stop trying to just come in and pull guard and expect to get a fucking heel hook. But nonetheless, overall, this card was quite good. I'd give it overall 7 out of 10. There are some really good finishes here, some great knockouts. The main event was boring towards the end, but there was definitely some big moments. I think stylistically it was very interesting to watch both of them. In terms of what's next for Rainer de Ritter, you can give him a title shot from this, but there's such a logjam right now that I don't know if I want that, just because he beat Robert Whitaker in a hyper close decision. I don't think that surpasses a Mavov, and Mavov's doing the work to do Kyle Baralho, so if they just skip him and give Rainer de Ritter the title shot, that's not what I want to see. I want to see Rainer de Ritter fight another contender. Looking at the top of middleweight right now, most of these guys do have a fight. You know, Hamzat fighting DDP on the next pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure in like 2 or 3 weeks. Compared, and Mavov and Kyle Baralho scheduled to fight each other for France. Right now, I think Rainer de Ritter, Sean Strickland could actually be very interesting. You can do Israel Adesanya as well. If you're not going to pair Sean and Izzy, I think they should fight an up-and-coming guy. I think you could do Paulo Costa versus Izzy too. I think you could do wait to see the winner of Jared Kennedy MVP and do that against de Ritter. But I think de Ritter should get a big step up, and I think Sean Strickland right now still has some name value. I think that's an interesting fight, and I think it should be Rainer de Ritter versus Sean Strickland. RDR wins that, he can be in title contention. So hopefully by that time, a Mavov will have fought Kyle. The winner can, fight Trickus or Hamzat or whichever. I think that'd be best for them. In terms of for Peter Yan, I think you kind of have to give him a title shot. It's very difficult to not justify that right now in terms of who else is there. If you really want to be petty towards him, you could do him versus Sean O'Malley too. I wouldn't mind seeing that, especially because he didn't have a crazy performance. But we kind of got to see how Merab versus Sandhagen goes. I think if Sandhagen beats Merab and they do a rematch, you should do Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley too. I think that'd be an incredible fight. I wish that fight took place sooner than later. I wish Sean didn't get the title shot and they just did that fight instead. We have a little bit more clarity right now, but Umar's scheduled to fight Mario Batista, which is hilarious. And besides that, there's not too much here that for Peter Yan besides Umar and Sean or the title shot. So I think Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley 2, or if Merab wins, put him against there. But nonetheless, I hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this card. Nice to have a nice early card in the morning. Get some time to relax a little bit. Anyway, hope you guys had fun. Have a good one.